Good day, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Ruben Torrens. By the way, I'm back in Canada. And on today's video, I will talk about the impact of inflation on your retirement income. Inflation has hurt us all while we're working, but it hurts us more when we have passive income, when we get to retirement, because our income is not adjusted to inflation anymore. We don't get any more pay increases other than the default of adjusting to inflation of the government pensions, such as the Canada Pension Plan and the Old Age Security Program. First, I will share with you one of my calculators on my website at www.pensionbooster.ca. And how to look at the impact of inflation on your own money. And then we are going to take a look at the impact of inflation, how you can take advantage and increase the portion of your income that is automatically adjusted for inflation, depending if you save in RRSPs or TFSA. But let me take you to my website first, and let's see what happens when you intend to adjust your own money, your own savings to inflation. This is my income calculator on the website, and is designed to do that, to help you. You should go into my website, use this calculator, plug in your own numbers, and try to define how much money you have and what you can do with your money. Okay, for this case, for this sample, I will choose to have $100,000. That's just an example invested, and the return on investment will be conservative at 5% because I'm assuming that this person is a retirement, and it has to be conservative. It cannot be exposed to investment losses, and it will withdraw from this $100,000 6% or $6,000 per year. And it's not going to be adjusted for inflation. It will always be $6,000 every year. So here's what happens. Year number one, $100,000, withdraw $6,000, earn the 5% return on investment. And year number two, we'll have $98,700, withdraw another $6,000, and we'll go on and on. And your money under this example will last for 32 years. In year 33, it will have only $2,100, and you will need to withdraw $6,000. So it will last 32 years. But let's see what happens now if we get this same scenario and we decide to adjust it to a 3% inflation every year. So every year we will be getting a little bit more money. For example, the first year will be 6,000. The following year will be 6,180, and then 6365, and will keep on increasing at a 3% every year. So what would happen? Remember, it was 32 years before. Well, now I have bad news. It lasts only 20 years. In year number 20 is not even enough, because you will need to withdraw $10,521, and you will only have $9,060 left on the account. So huge difference with a simple 3% inflation every year. From 32 years, it cuts down to 20 years. That's if we adjust or not adjust to inflation. Now, because it is estimated that when we retire, as we age, as we grow older, we spend less money. Probably we don't want to, or we don't need to adjust 100% of our income to inflation. Maybe adjusting only half the income to inflation will be good enough. So therefore, if we can have half the retirement income coming from the government that is already adjusted for inflation, we don't need to adjust for inflation our own money. So, and you may say, well, but 20 years is a good number. So, okay, let's bring this down to zero. No more adjusted to inflation, and let's take a little bit more money up front. Instead of 6,000, let's take 7,500 to see what happens, and 7,500 every year, not adjusting for inflation, and the money will last about 20 years, 20 and a half years. The same number as before, money will last up to age 85, The difference is that on the first few years, we're taking more money than what we take otherwise when we try to adjust for inflation. So this is the whole idea. You should plug your own numbers here and play with it, play with the calculators in order to determine what you want to do with your money. However, there is something more. It's not only what you want to do with your money, but it's also where the money comes from. And I will assume now that you're on your own. You don't have any employer pension, and you try to decide if you're going to save for your retirement in an RSP or in TFSA. And and we'll see the impact on total income at the end of the day. So what happens? What would it happen if I save in TFSA? We have less money, but non-taxable. We all know that. But what repercussion does it have on the total income, on the portion of that total income that is adjusted to inflation? First, let's take a look at the impact of inflation on your retirement income. Let's assume that you have $5,000 of income every month and it's not adjusted to inflation, and we have a 3% inflation this year. So the following next year, you will still have $5,000, but will be like having $4,850 today. That's the impact of it. And the time goes by, you will continue to have $5,000, but to give you an idea, in 20 years will be like having $2,718 today if we continue to have a 3% inflation every year. Now, if 50% of your income comes from the government and 50% of your income comes from your own savings efforts, so that will be a little bit of a difference because only half your income will be exposed to inflation. So if you have the same $5,000 today, and only half your income is exposed to inflation, next year you will have a little bit more than $5,000 because half the income is indexed to inflation and will represent the same thing as having $4,925 today. And in 20 years from now, will be the same thing as having $3,695 today, which is about $1,000 more than when we have the total income exposed to inflation. So this is so important because your purchasing power will be reducing throughout the years, but not as much. And if we follow the same concept as I mentioned before, that as we grow older, we tend to spend less. Well, yeah, this can work. This system can work very well. And let me tell you on my own experience, because I'm 69 years old. I'm retired or supposed to be retired already, and yes, we do spend less money as we grow older. So definitely we spend less money. I can tell that on my own expenses. So this is important to bear in mind. Now let's take a look what happens if you try to decide to save in RRSP or TFSA and the impact it has on total income. Okay, RRSPs versus TFSA. So if you have 20 years to save, so you will be saving for the next 20 years, and on your money you will earn a return on investment of 7% per year. And today you don't have nothing, you don't have anything saved yet, so you will start today. So today's value is zero. And you will start depositing $10,000 every year for the next 20 years. You will deposit $10,000. Yeah, it will earn 7%. So in 20 years, the future value, 20 years from now, you will have $409,000, almost $410,000. Now retirement time. So you will withdraw from your $409,954, 5.85%, or 24,000, give or take $24,000 per year, or $2,000 per month. And this will be in addition to your Canada pension plan and your old age security. So you will have $2,000 plus average Canada pension plan. I calculated numbers I will share with you. I calculated $850 per month of Canada pension plan plus old age security. But what happens if you decide to save into a tax-free savings account? Well, at the same number of years, 20 years, the same interest rate on your investment, today's value is 0, you're starting today. Well, if in the RRSP you save $10,000 per year, so I'm assuming a 30% tax bracket. This is important. If your tax bracket is below 30%, don't even think about RRSPs. And it's important because, especially in the RRSP time, during January, mainly February of every year, when you go to the bank, the first thing the bank teller is going to ask you, have you made your RRSP contribution this year? Not caring if your tax bracket is 20, 24, 25, 30%, or 40%. They're never going to ask you this question. If your tax bracket, your marginal tax rate is below 30%, don't even think about RRSPs. RRSPs are definitely not a good idea. Now, if you are at 30% or over, well, maybe discuss this with your financial advisor. But here you have an example. 30% tax bracket. You have your $10,000 that you were going to deposit in an RSP, pay 30% or $3,000 in taxes. You end up with $7,000. This is money after tax, saving to TFSA, and in 20 years, at 7%, return on investment, you will accumulate $286,000, almost $287,000. From that amount, at retirement time, you will withdraw 5.85% or $16,800 per year or $1,400 per month. So now you are what's better? $2,000 in an RSP or $1,400 in tax-free savings account. Let's take a look. Here we will run a comparison of government pensions with 40 years of Canadian residency, 30 years, 20, or 10 years. This is, and again, a no-brainer. If by retirement time, by age 65, not retirement time, and here is a confusion. What Service Canada looks at is at your age 65, how many years of Canadian residency you have. If you have less than 40 years, an RSP may not be for you, may not be a good idea. And if you're a couple and one partner in the couple has less than 40 years of residency by age 65, maybe not a good idea to save in an RSP, unless you already have an employer pension. Depending on the size of that employer pension, that can change things around. But if you don't have an employer pension and you don't have any other source of income, you will not have any other source of income at retirement, be careful with our RSPs. Okay, here's what happens. Government pensions, estimating $850 per month from Canada Pension Plan, plus full old age security for 40 years, $1,563 per month, plus another $2,000 that were coming from our RSP, remember? So $3,563. This is all taxable money. So it's going to cost, give or take, depending on the province of residency, $295 in income tax. You will net $3,268 per month. This 1563 represents 47.83% of the $3,268, meaning the government pensions represent 47%, almost 48% of the total pension income. If by age 65 you say you have less than 40 years, you have 30 years of Canadian residency, you see that your government pensions will be lower because your old age security will be lower. So when we add to the total income, the $2,000 coming from the RIF account, you have $3,385 of total income and $1,385 of government pensions that are adjusted to inflation. So the income adjusted to inflation is 44.32% of the total income. And it gets even worse with 20 years of residency. And of course, even worse with 10 years of Canadian residency, in which definitely RRSPs are not for you if you have 10 years of residency. So what happened with TFSA? Well, with TFSA it's totally different because in this case, whether you have 40 years, 30, 10, 20 or 10 or any other number of years of Canadian residency, so will always be the same because the old age security is going to be reduced because as a consequence of the lesser number of years of Canadian residency. But when you qualify for the guaranteed income supplement, the guaranteed income supplement it's increased dollar by dollar. So with the old age security, it balances out. So therefore, it doesn't really matter the number of years of Canadian residency as long as you have more than 10 or more. So here's what happens. You will have more income coming because now you will have your $850 coming from Canada Pension Plan plus the combination of all the security and guaranteed income supplement that will be $2,000, $2,038. So to that we need to add the $1,400 per month that we save that we pull from the savings in TFSA. So there is no taxation because there is tax-free savings account and guaranteed income supplement. Both amounts are non-taxable. So the only amount that is left taxable here is the Canada Pension Plan, but it's not enough to have tax liability. So your net income is $3,438. Most important than that is that your government pension income related to your total income is 59.29%. So now you have a lot more income adjusted to inflation and a lot less income coming from your own saving, from your own efforts that you don't need to adjust for inflation. So I know that these are complex calculations. Hopefully you're dealing with a financial advisor that understands government pensions. There are not too many of them. If you don't, you can always contact me. I always offer a half an hour of personal consultation at no cost. Other than that, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss the videos that are coming because I'm working on an update to the calculators. I will add the possibility of making RRSP contributions after retirement and see the benefits that you may have. That will be on the next video or so. I just sent everything to my webmaster. Hopefully she's going to have everything ready for this week together with the update from Service Canada on the old age security and guaranteed income supplement rates. Other than that, thank you for watching. I will see you soon and stay alert for the new calculators that are coming because they're going to be quite interesting. Thank you.